Good afternoon and welcome to Groundhog's Day and Angelic View. Maria will not be able to join us today, and I am going to be hosting for the first time solo. So I'm looking for lots of input in the chat and just be part of the community energetically and in the chat, and we'll see what the angels bring to us today. So angel blessings to everyone. I see we already have some folks in the chat. And first name, last name says that they've been focusing on their coaching and training business, and it hasn't yet produced the outcomes that they're looking for. So Spirit keeps telling them how much I loved event planning, and now I'm confused. Am I supposed to get an event planning job? Although I've tried to several times over the years and no one's hired me. So what gives? I feel like I'm going around in circles. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is combine the two. Leverage your strength with event planning with your desire to do the coaching and training business. I can see this manifesting in a couple of different ways. One would be to use your experiences in your event planning as a credential builder for why you would be an excellent business coach. Because when you are an event planner, you are filling the role of a consultant to the individuals that are actually hosting the event. Much like in the training business, you are being an advisor and a resource for the people that you are planning the event, which is their life. So I see those two as being very synergistic, and that may be what Spirit's trying to share with you, is that in fact it is both the same thing, just with a slightly different nuance. So I see Michelle's joined. Thank you so much, Michelle, for tuning in today, and Yuna as well. Aloha Jay. And I did have a fabulous trip to Hawaii. And I did think of you all. I was on a plane when the last show aired, and Maria and I had a wonderful time pre-recording that particular show. It was really fun. So the first name, last name is replying that they did try some marketing for a bit to do event planning consulting. And I think that is, just like, don't compartmentalize them, merge them. I think that that's what Spirit's sharing with you, is that it's the opportunity to merge the two, whether that is in your thinking or whether that is practically. Another thing is maybe look to co-sponsor an event, whether it's online or in person, with other life coaches and trainers. That's something that I personally would be interested in if you wanted to reach out. So that would be, you can reach out to me at ginger@freetobefree.com or reach out to me through my Psychic Cafe profile as well, either way. So we're going to be doing a lot of interaction today with the chat room. So I encourage anyone who's looking for some divine participation. That's what we want today. Now, I actually have a new deck that I wanted to pull out in addition to my normal deck. This one's a new deck, and it's from Colette Baron Reed, and it's called Guides of the Hidden Realm. And I just think this is a really fun deck. The cards are very inspirational to me. And let's see what we can get. So just as a general, let's look for a message as it relates to the energy for Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day to me kind of reminds me of the same old, and some of that's the movie, but it's also a cyclical opportunity. So let's see, based on that, where are we today? And the card that is coming up is, oh, that's a wonderful one. Happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. It talks about mentorship fulfillment. So the idea of gaining fulfillment through mentorship. So first, last, that may actually be for you. And it's this cute little picture of happy flowers is what the picture is of. Happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. I will take that. Sounds like a good idea for me. So Yuna is saying she's got a question. Do you see a potential for a romantic connection between me, Yusra, and Salih? And I hope I'm not butchering the pronunciation of those names. Let's see. Full card. See what the card says. Interesting. All right, so here is the card. And the card says on it, the river dances to the sea. And it has to do with the flow state and trusting in the adventure. So what I would say to me, what that means, Yuna, is that the energy and chemistry is to be explored and see what kind of connections come out of it. So that's how I would interpret that. And just tapping into the angelic realm, it's a very uplifting feeling. You know, the spirit world is excited to see you proceed and see what adventure awaits. It's a very playful feeling, not to be taken too serious, not to be forced, and to just accept things. The other thing that I'm seeing in my mind's eye is cards flipping one at a time, just one at a time. So I would say that that means, you know, not in a playful way, not proceed with caution, but just don't get ahead of yourself or ahead of where things are. So I hope that that was helpful. If anyone else has a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. And I'm just going to play with these cards for a minute. And I do want to remind you all that we do have the Angelic Connections Community. And that is a new community that we've put together. And with the coupon code Angelic View, and I'm going to put that into the chat. Well, let me put it into the correct chat. Angelic View. You can get 3 months for free. And the link to the community is here. You go. And we did have a live event back in January. I'm not sure the timing of our next live event, but it will probably be, I think it might be in March. A lot going on in April, so or in February. So I'm thinking that we might do something in March, which would be kind of at the cadence of every other month. So joining with that angelic community is an opportunity for an ongoing dialogue between our shows. And one of the things that Maria and I've been talking about is doing some pre-recorded topic level videos, shorter in duration to be able to share. And that is something that we would be posting in that community as well. All right. So this particular card deck, it has different, I like this card. As a clairvoyant, this really appeals to me. This particular card says, all eyes are open, and it has to do with inspired vision, clarity, perception, and revelation. And that's something I really work with my energy, is to not jump to conclusions and be open to an interpretation other than my initial intellectual interpretation. Michelle's asking, what do the angels have for me this week? Michelle, the angelic realm is sending you unconditional love right now. I am seeing you surrounded with the energy of rose quartz and that feeling of love. And it is across multiple angels. There's not a specific archangel that is standing out in that energy. It is just an uplifting. I see your aura like on a cloud, surrounded by, it's almost like a pearl in an oyster shell, but it's not anything you can see. That's just the cloud and the mist and everything, and you being like that pearl and being uplifted from the angelic realm. So that is what I see in store for you this week. A lot of support. So I'd be very interested in hearing how that actually manifests itself. It's a very ethereal view. Oh, that's an interesting card. The card that I just pulled is this card, and Michelle, I'm not necessarily thinking that this is for you. It just is the next card. And this card says, death reclaims a life, letting go the sacred quality of death, natural endings and grief. And to me, what this card is talking about, and it's kind of a sea theme. There's a seahorse on it and some coral. And it's really has to do with the understanding that every ending is a new beginning. So, okay. Aloha Jay. Appreciate that. Aloha Jay says, this is a question about my job. My manager told me that he may fire me in March, and then he would say that he would not on the last week. What's going on? Is he or isn't he? Thanks for your time. Okay, so what I'm getting with that particular situation is that your boss is in a state of turmoil and chaos, and it actually doesn't have anything to do with you. You're not a catalyst for it. You are, you may wind up being the safe target of some frustration. So your boss may be taking things out on you. What the angelic realm is saying, my messages from there is the impression I get is to behave like a shock absorber. So rather than pushing back on that energy, just allow that energy to transmute within you. And maybe I'll talk about that for a minute. In the various roles that I play in my life, not the least of which is being a mother, is that how do you transmute that energy? How do you shift someone's day when they come at you? There's a natural desire to throw up a boundary and to block it. But what I've found is that as long as I'm solid in my energy and I know that I am where I need to be, how I need to be, that my vibrational level is where I want it to be, that I can actually take and transmute that negativity, that frustration, that fear in many instances. When people come to me, that just giving them an opportunity to expel that energy from their field, even though they're trying to push it into my field has enough buffers and layers that it doesn't actually impact me. Your bad day is not going to ruin my day, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to, empathize and maybe help you shift your energy. And that's something that's been really interesting to watch with my children as they start raising my grandchildren, and how they cope with that as well. It was something that was pretty natural for me. I didn't really think about it. And listening to them talk about, like, how do you deal with a toddler's frustration? And, you hear, oh, I know you're having big feelings, and that acknowledgement and that recognition is the beginning of that transmutation of that energy. Because if you're fighting it, you're just meeting that energy back with hard energy. So, Aloha Jade, that is really what I think is your best play with this, is to, you know, listen and be on a receiver end, even though that's not energy you necessarily want to receive, but to have that opportunity to, oh, I understand, is there something that I can do? Can I partner with you? There could be financial reasons. I know there are times with my small business that it's a struggle to augment the income for the store with the expenses of even my employees. There's often times when I'm having to pay my employees that are working the store, which I consider kind of business partners. But at the end of the day, there's days when I'm having to pay them out of my personal money, and that the store is not generating enough. And they're, I feel like getting into that problem solving mode with them and bringing them on board as true partners. What can we do? Because clearly we're trying to put the store in our community as a resource. But if there is not enough energy flow back into that store to be able to continue to support it, something's got to shift. One of the things that we're looking to do is to do more work online and to be able to provide an additional income stream from outside of the community to fund the physical store. So those are some thoughts that I have for you on that particular topic. I see that Dan joined. Thank you, Dan. Welcome. And does anyone else have anything that they'd like some insight on for today? Oh, you're very welcome. Aloha, Jay. Let's see. What? Uh, Looking forward to February for myself. Um, one of the things that I will often do is it's just create an opportunity for my guides to work with me directly and see what kind of inspiration they can share. And this is going to be a very busy month for me personally. I've got a lot going on in it. Yeah, Maria's fine. She just had some stuff that came up, and I hope I'm doing an okay job, but I would appreciate some additional support in the chat if you can. Maria's fine. She'll be on the next show, or else we'll pre-record if her schedule has conflict, or mine. It is, and I know that she was commenting, we talked about it after this last show, that she really enjoyed being able to join the chat, even though it's a pre-recorded show, that at the time that the show was going on, to be able to do the chat live. Let's see. What are the differences between guardian angels and archangels? Thank you, Michelle. That's a great question. My perspective is that guardian angels have a lot of different names: guardian angel, messengers, guides, spirit guides. Depending on your belief background, some people call them the ancestors. My understanding in working with guides, and I work with mine as well as other people's, is that the guardian angel, that group of intelligent resource, to me, they are like the board of directors for my life. So before I was born, understanding what I wanted to work with in this lifetime and how I wanted to spiritually grow and evolve. I used that opportunity to gather a set of resources. These could be individuals that I've had past lives with. They could be individuals that I knew personally, or they could be, just the best person for the job. And so your guardian angels have had lives of their own. They have, they are at this time elevated to the position of a guardian angel, and they have agreed to sit out from participating in a flesh and blood life for the full duration of your lifetime. And they are with you constantly. And their objective is to be a resource for you and to provide support, love, and backing to you personally. They don't interfere with free will at all. If you feel something interfering with free will or really being pushy, that energy is not a guardian angel energy. There are times when loved ones who've passed on have not broken free of the energy of the earth, and they are real involved in your life. And a lot of times you can attract an energy just because of how you're handling things at the time. So if you're feeling a lot of frustration, sometimes there will be a soul who lived a life of frustration, and you're putting off this vibration of frustration. So they want to hang out with you because, yeah, isn't it awful? Isn't it really frustrating? And that energy can actually continue to grow, and it will prevent you from moving on because you've got this anchor for that vibration. Like, yeah, everything's awful. It's so frustrating, and other energies as well. So those are not guardian angels. Those are just souls that are earthbound souls. They're souls that have not moved on. When it comes to the archangels are more conceptual. They were created by spirit without having lived a human life. And they represent ideals, and that you can tune into that archangel wisdom, specifically to that ideal. And it can really provide a lot of insight and wisdom that is outside of the human existence. So that's the difference between a guardian angel and an archangel. And if you have any further questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So Aloha J is asking, what are the angels saying about this time period that humanity is in? Is the veil between good and evil very thin now? One of the things with the earth is a phenomenal spiritual school. And a lot of that is because there's multiple states of consciousness that exist at the same time and in the same place. So you have the opportunity to experience not just your own state of consciousness, but those that have different points of view. And that can serve to refine your position. It can serve to help you grow past your position. And what's going on in the earth right now is something that is fairly cyclical. And that is there's a lot of sorting going on. I feel that we've moved past the hot, cold, black, white, binomial sorting, and we're into more of the, different shades of gray, where people are going to be able to start relating to those points of view and the facets of understanding that are different than their own, but see more of those similarities. And just like we were talking about before, that transmutation of energy, that is the opportunity that we have in the world today, is to be able to recognize, it's really hard to recognize the validity of a point of view that's different than yours. But the key lesson in humanity is that we are discrete individuals, but we are all connected. So how can you be one with someone that you completely oppose and not become them? That's never the goal. The goal is to really go beyond that, to say, I can find a way to fit with you and to align with you while still maintaining my identity and respecting your identity and not expecting you to change or for me to change. And through all of that, we all change. And there is kind of that transmutation of energy that happens that helps us to elevate to the next level. So that's a big thing that I think you're going to be seeing. It's a very exciting time, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing where we are 25 years from now. And I am excited about having grandchildren growing up in this age. I think that it's really an opportunity to allow you to question yourself and where you are, and to do that without, what I really would like to see is less feelings of fear in taking on a different point of view. So that's what it feels like to me. And the veil to me is always there and it's always thin. So not any different than any other time in my lifetime anyway. Emily, welcome. And Emily is saying that she's been stuck in a rut for a while and would love some guidance on how to get out of it. There you go. What I was just saying. Look for opportunities to take on a different point of view than your own. Just academically, I'm not suggesting that you actually change your point of view. Just to say, what if this key premise that has been a foundational belief of mine were to shift? A very deep one that I grapple with from time to time is the dichotomy between a fate or a path or, God's will for your life and that predestination and the concept of free will. Is it really free will if it's going to happen a specific way? And to just sit with that academically and say, how can these two things that appear to be in complete contrast both be true? How can I expand my understanding to be able to accept that both of these points of view can be correct with a slight shift? And for me, for that particular thing, what has come to mind for me, and this is through years of meditation and prayer, I did a lot of growth in this area when I was in high school, another when I was in my mid 30s, and another probably about mid 40s. So maybe it's an every 20-year thing, or my mid 50s, is really that the understanding of a lifetime and chronology and timing is very much a human point of view. And it's something that's very 3D and part of the earth that we're on right now. And that's how we understand things. But if I accept that the angelic point of view and beyond the veil, that time is not so static, then I can understand how someone outside of the human existence, outside of the earth plane, can see what I'm going to do on February 2nd, 2027, even though it's February 2nd, 2025, they know what I'm going to, where that intelligence can observe what's going to happen 2 years from now. But that doesn't mean that I don't have the free will to do anything between now and then. It just means that they're already able to see what happened in the future. But it doesn't mean that anything is putting a force on me to require that that be the outcome, if that makes any sense. Okay, next question. Drops of Jupiter. How can I ask for guidance to heal an injured nervous system? Nervous systems are very, very interesting because it is really energetic. So working with your nervous system is about communication, higher communication. I would, as a healer in the color modality, I would work with a lot of blues and purples. Surround yourself with those frequencies. That is going to allow for the communication paths to be opened up in that energy center within your body. So blues, purples, um, sleep. Sleep is a good one. And that's because that level of communication is at the neuron cellular, the electricity that's going on throughout your body. And it's something that's very, um, it can be, that is one of those areas that you have a lot more biometric control over than you realize. So I can consciously raise my blood pressure, raise my heart rate, lower my heart rate. And when you're working on your nervous system, you want those things to go back to a steady state. So not being as conscious about it will help you to not impede whatever healing is taking place. So prayer, meditation, sleep, blue, that's what I would do. I'm getting, there's this fabulous tea. We do sell it at our store. It is in our store, we call it color changing tea. And it's actually a blue tea, has a lot of collagen production in it. It is marketed for a beauty treatment, anti-aging, but I really think that that could be beneficial. So I've put the link for the store in. You can reach out on Messenger, through Facebook, through the store's Facebook page, and we can get some of that in the mail for you. It's pretty simple. It's easy to use, and it's fun. It doesn't have much of a flavor, but it has a really cool color, and it's a fun tea to drink. I like it. It's one of my favorites. Let's see, what else do we have in here? What is your perspective on the original Guardians of the Galaxy, the Archangels, before the emergence of humans existed? That's really fun, Dan. Thanks for that question. The Guardian, okay, got it. The what was here before we were here? Because relatively speaking, in the course of the existence of the universe, humans on Earth is not very long. I believe that I personally, and many of the people that are on this journey with me, we've had lifetimes on other planets. We've had lifetimes as other types of beings. The existence of our unique soul energy is without beginning and without end, and it just manifests into a lifetime and then regroups in the universe and then manifests into another lifetime. I actually had the opportunity to work with someone who channels souls, both human as well as extraterrestrial. And I was taking a course on how to channel with him. And it was really, really interesting because he did a guided meditation, which wound up being incredibly profound. There is a typical meditation that is going to be, where you say, go to your happy place. We've probably all participated in a sea of tranquility like meditation where the person leading the meditation will tell you to relax, and you find yourself in a place that where you feel very comfortable. It's a home. It's an energetic home, and depending on what your gifts are, sometimes that home has a feeling. Sometimes that home has something that you can visually see. If you're high and clairvoyant, you can describe and draw a picture of your spiritual safe place. If you're really high in feeling and that gift of clairsentient, you you know what it feels like, but oftentimes it's difficult to find the words, and you may not know what it looks like at all. So I was in that space, and the intention was to connect to your ancestors. And my happy space is it's not a beach, but it is warm. It's always warm. That is a key factor for me. I do not like cold. And what's really interesting is I had this conscious thought, I'm out of my body. There is no hot or cold. So why do I feel that my safe space needs to be warm? Or what do I connect that physical warmth with on an energetic level? And I was like, I've had a lot of existences where the warmth of the sun, and I joke and say I'm solar powered. I am, we all are, but I really like sun. And to have that shift and be like, okay, well, I've probably done many, many, many lifetimes on planet Earth, but where was I before that? And I found myself on a planet that was very, very different from Earth. And it was uh, very raw. It was very, a lot of energy, but it was more of that binomial, good, bad, black, white. It was very simple energy. And so I believe that the archangels have been created into existence over time as, like I was saying, concepts, imperatives, ideals, as souls need a tuning fork for that principle. That's how archangels come to be. And that's my understanding of that evolution. So, what was the oldest, and what were those initial principles? That particular lifetime that I had, I was working really closely with source energy at the time. And I was like, well, how many lifetimes did I, live through this particular planet? And very quick answer, two. And I said, what were the lessons in this, on this ecosystem, in this ecosystem? Again, very quick, service and sacrifice. So service and sacrifice only took me 2 lifetimes to learn. But I think that as you move on in your own evolution, that how can I maintain who I am and let you be who you are and feel a love and respect for you, even if your point of view or your the evolution of your spiritual understanding, it could be lifetimes ago for me or lifetimes from now for me. So we're not in the same place energetically. We're not in the same place with our understandings and our viewpoints on life. How can I love and respect you where you are? And that's something that I've been working on in this lifetime and my more recent lifetimes, is appreciating the fact that you're not where I am, because if you were exactly the same as me, how do I grow from that? If I don't have any, if there's no resistance or there's no friction, then we're all just blobbing around, which I think we do between lifetimes. I think that we all just blob around, and you can call it heaven, you can call it the universe, that space between lifetimes. And I think that in that space between lifetimes, there's a lot of affinity, and there is a softening of that resistance before we come into our next lifetime. So this has been a pretty, I hope that I'm not going so deep that people are just like, oh, she's crazy. When's Maria coming back? But anyway, does anyone have anything else? Emily, I don't know if Emily's still on. Yes, my I do have a store website. I don't know if it's on the cat in the Psychic Cafe. I will add it there if it is not. This is my personal. I'm going to put 3 links in here. And these links are for my store's Facebook page and for the store's website, as well as for my spiritual consultation website. My personal brand is Free to Be Free, and it's something that I feel really strongly about, and I appreciate the fact that it really embraces that whole idea of um, free will. If and the position that I take is the only limits that I have are those that I put on myself, which is not always a comfortable place to be. When I am deciding not to do something, I understand that I'm the one that's making that decision. Nobody's forcing me not to do something or to do something that in the end, now that's not to say that there are not natural consequences. You have free will of your own actions. That doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome is going to be what you choose. I do believe that there's a lot that goes into that with manifesting. So I have been studying with a college that is online. And it has kind of that big picture view of things. I'm going to post a URL in the chat if there's anyone that is interested in taking this particular um, a look at how we understand all of the various things to be. I'll put that in there right now. So I call this the first step program. And what it is it's really a basic fundamental um, understanding of the belief system. And so one of the things that we say is that if there's lots of concepts that are thrown out there, I joke, but I really do see it this way, that this college is kind of like a liberal arts college for people who are interested in spiritual things. So just like your undergraduate liberal arts college, you can take a class in a particular topic area, and there's many, many things to experience and explore. We have in-depth topics on the 4 spiritual gifts: clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant, and clairaudient. We talk about what it means to have your gift order defined for you, how you perceive things that happen, how you receive messages from the spirit world, how you communicate as a family, what your family energy is. There's courses, a lot of courses on understanding that communication and the role of your spiritual gifts. There are courses on the chakras and the understanding of this particular program's chakra system. I really personally relate to, but it is different than your traditional Eastern. It has the same chakra system, but the energy flow that's in your typical Eastern understanding is that the energy is flowing from the earth up through the body. And their understanding is that the energy begins from spirit. It comes in from spirit, travels down through your spinal column, and then up through the body. The WOW workshop for this Thursday will be really exciting. And that WOW workshop is going to be the start of a series on the chakras. So each month there'll be an in-depth discussion of that chakra. We'll be working on balancing that particular chakra's energy. And so that will be once a month, and that will be part of the WOW workshop. And I'll be posting in the Psychic Cafe on my page about that, with all of the details of how to sign up. I'd like to invite anyone who's listening to this to enjoy your first WOW workshop for free, and just let them know that Ginger invited you, and we would be happy to have you. The normal cost for those workshops is just $20. It's a $20 investment. And they last an hour, and they are the first Thursdays at 8:30 Eastern. And I've mentioned them before, but I'll put all of the information both in this chat when the show is over, as well as put it on my Psychic Cafe, and it is always on the Facebook page for the store. So Dan is saying that in his mind's eye, he sees a soul that was a guardian of the archangels before emergences, as there are those in the universe who would destroy the growth of life on new planets. No, Dan, you don't sound crazy. Dan and I definitely need to have some late night conversations, I can tell. It's wonderful. I participated in a summer camp, and there's times when we'll be sitting, there's picnic tables in the main dining hall. We'll be sitting there at these picnic tables, and we're having these conversations, and we're like, yeah, can't talk about this sort of thing around my family. I have a dear friend that I actually had asked to co-host with me today, and she's busy. And Nanette and I have an interesting story. We were like 47, so this was like a little while ago, a few years ago. And she came into a class I was teaching, which was a class on charisma. The idea of being charisma is tapping into what is that unique energy that you have. And if you are utilizing that unique energy, you should be attracting people that you will be working with, because they'll be a good fit for you, either to learn from or to teach, to grow. So I was teaching this course, but before the course started, I was just in the area for the participants. And Nanette came in, she sat down next to me, and she starts talking about how her spirit guides told her to come to this class, that she's supposed to be meeting somebody that she's supposed to be doing her life's work with. She goes, I think it's you, but I really feel like I know you. I feel like I know you already. So, as is typical of these situations, we exchange business cards, and, oh, I'm going to call you. And people tell you they're going to call you, but they don't, which is okay, because, I found somebody's business card on my office floor like 3 years after I met them. And I was like, well, that's really strange. And I asked my guys, am I supposed to call them? And they're like, no, you're going to see her. And within 3 weeks, I was at a Mind Body Spirit show, and she happened to have the booth next to one of my best friends. And I was like, I'm supposed to be talking to you. So these things happen. So I'm always, give it space, and it'll come to fruition. And so Nanette and I did get together, and we talked a few times, and then we decided that we were going to partner for a booth. So we get there, and everything is white. They've set up for the conference, the show, white drapes, white tablecloths, white, white, white. All of the business names are black ink on a white piece of paper, incredibly boring. And I said, we need a pop of color. And I said, oh, I've got this blue tablecloth. And she goes, oh, I have all of these peacock things. We were going to be doing energetic jewelry, was one of the things we were selling. And so she goes, I've got a peacock mirror, and I've got peacock plume pens that people can use to, fill out paperwork. And she's like, I've got all of this peacock stuff. So we're going to use this peacock stuff. I said, awesome. So we're leaving, and we were riding together. So as I'm driving, I'm exhausted. And I reach up and I grab my hair, and I just twist it like this. And she goes, oh my gosh, you're Ginger. And yeah, at this point, we've been talking for like almost 9 months, fairly regularly. She's been to my house, we've been to dinner, and she goes, no, you're Ginger. And she goes, from San Diego. I was like, Chula Vista? And she goes, yes, 2nd grade, Mrs. Peacock's class. So it's really interesting how intertwined these circles can be, because we both live in Virginia now, which is a very, very, very long way from San Diego. And once she did that, it's like it unlocked everything. And I can remember how she looked when she was that age. We remembered when we used to play together at her house, and her neighbors had, ponies, and there was a fence around. We used to go over and feed the horses. So just like all of these, and that's the way my experience has been with past lives too, is something will click and suddenly I'll have a flood of memories about those particular circumstances. So we've kept the relationship going, and she's met all my kids and all that. So one day we're sitting there and she starts going on about, she's a very strong medium, and she starts talking about how she's always been a medium, and since she was really little she just thought everybody saw what she saw. And then she looks at my daughters and she goes, I can never talk like this in front of my kids. And I was like, well, thank you so much for talking like that in front of mine. But it's wonderful to be able to have the opportunity to share things with people that are of like minds, as well as people that sometimes people just go, and it might be 15 years from now, something clicks. So that is one of my goals for the next chapter in my life, is to be a little bit more free with my understandings. It has been something that I have, I joke and I say, well, I was burned at the stake in former lifetimes. The reality is, what I believe has happened to me is that I had a position in a community as a healer, and the patrons of the area had a situation, and I was brought in, and it was something that was beyond physical healing, and there was a lot of ramifications for that. And so my healing abilities is something that I really have not shared openly. And that's a big thing for me, is just understanding that we're in a different era now. There's a lot more openness, and being able to work with the angelic realm and work even directly with source energy and pull that in as a channel is something that has always been part of how I live my life, but it's not really been something that I've hung a shingle out there for. So it's a new experience for me, and I appreciate when I hear other people's stories. I don't feel like I know that my stories are not that unique. My perspectives may be a little bit unique, but I have had others share with me some of their experiences, and it's a crazy world out there. And isn't it that exciting? I think so. So I'm happy to do a couple more readings if anybody has anything else that they'd like to ask. And I will get you that information on the WOW workshop and post it into this. Pink Lady's asking, will I get help from Spirit to write my book? If you ask. That's the way it works. You have to ask and be open. If you ask and you are open, then the answer is a definitive yes. That's an interesting one. Automatic writing. You're talking about the college, there's like a whole course on automatic writing. So how you can just write directly from source. My personal experiences have been that my intellect is engaged. I'll get the inspiration from Spirit, but it still flows as my words when I'm writing or drawing. I do a lot of drawing with guidance, and that's really fun. One of the unique things that I do, reading that I offer, is an angelic reading for your energy paths. So I go into a semi-trance state, and while I am there, I'm able to see how energy works for you, and where energy is created, where you pull energy from. I can tell people that are more connected to earth energy, people that are in, a highway type communications with the angelic realm. I see all of that. And one of the things that's really fun for me about that particular reading is that what comes through is very unique to that person in that time. So I don't have a format like when I do this reading, you'll find out, because I don't know what you'll find out until I get in there. And it's just an opportunity to get that view of it. And the first couple times I did it, I was actually working with youth, and working with them on tapping into their spiritual gifts. And I said, sometimes you just have to, and Pink Lady, this is actually part of the information for you. Sometimes you just have to be open and have no expectations. So they wanted to do a psychic fair for their parents. And everybody was going to have their little station and do their type of reading, whatever they wanted to do. So they were like, well, you have to do one, Ginger. What are you going to do? And we basically had leftover art supplies from the project. So I just instantly, it was like, well, I'm going to do aura portraits. I have no idea what that means at the moment. So I sat down, and the first couple of people that I was working with, I would just go into trance, and I would see super clearly these flows. It's like a weather map to me. That's the best thing that I can explain it, or most similar. And so I did several at camp. And then when I got home, I talked to Nanette. Nanette's was one of the first ones I did after I got back. And I have another dear friend who is really, really strong with tarot cards and with uh, aura colors. And I was like, I want a book on aura colors. And he goes, why? And I said, well, I want to make sure I'm right. And he said, well, that's not how this works. Whatever color you're seeing and whatever interpretation you have of that color, that's what's right. And it was a real, it was a real eye opener for me, because I do tend to try to, once I experience something, I want to intellectualize it, reverse engineer it so I can get there again. So that's just been really great. Yes, open to spirit and let spirit guide you. And that can be, what I'm picking up, Pink Lady, is that can be in so many different areas. It can be in getting that boost of energy to spend that hour or half hour on the project when you should, but you really just don't feel like it. So energy and inspiration is one of the ways spirit's going to help you. And also, there's going to be some specifics. So when you get in there and you start writing, and you feel like you've hit a roadblock, give that roadblock the opportunity for spirit to assist. So don't attack it intellectually. Just less resistance and be open to spirit's guidance on that. So Dan, I was actually talking to Dax about a book series that I'm working on. I'm pulling together the resources at this time to go into that book series. I have written what I call them mini books, and I have them at my store, and they're on specific topics. So they're on, like, I've got one that I did on smudging, like the practice of smudging. How do you use that? We sell sage in the store, and a lot of times people come and go, what do you do with that? It's like, oh, let me tell you what you do with that. So it's a lot of fun for me to go ahead and take that information that I know and put it in something that's relatively easily consumed. So that's the status of books at this point, is that they're very short and they're for sale at the crystal store. Nothing as comprehensive as Maria's angelic guide. And that is something that you can get on her website. And I'm going to put Maria's website up there. Maria's website is a fabulous where to go for lots of different things. She has set it up to be a real resource, and it provides a lot of links for her cards, which are gorgeous. And hopefully I will have a deck or several decks to be sold from my store here in the near future. So she has the card decks, and she has her Angelic Practitioner's notebook. And then there's also um, guides to the Angelic Community, as well as the Certified Angelic Practitioner course. So lots of things on her website. It's a fantastic resource. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I want something that I can read it very quickly, and I want to get to the heart of the matter too. And if it's beyond that, just give me blank spaces and I'll fill them myself. Um, so yeah, that's something that I may start posting some of those little mini books in the Angelic Community. So I think that that can provide a resource section there, and I can upload and post some of those in there. So I will take that as an action item. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to be with you today, and for choosing to spend some time with me online. And I've felt a lot of support, both in the chat as well as from my guides. So thanks a lot. I hope everybody has a fantastic next couple of weeks. We'll see you back in 2 weeks with Maria. Thanks.